And I married someone that was, I always tell guys when they meet a woman,
For decades, Jay Leno was known as the man who could make America laugh no matter what. His sharp humor, calm voice, and quick wit made him a television icon, loved by millions around the world. But behind his confident smile and classic chin, Jay carried a story that few people truly knew. Recently, during an emotional interview, the legendary comedian opened up about the one person who changed his life forever: his wife, Mavis. With heartfelt honesty, Jay confessed that Mavis was not just his partner, but the reason behind many of his choices, including the sacrifices he made for fame and success. His confession touched the hearts of fans who had watched him for years, revealing a softer, more human side of a man often seen as simply the funny guy. It wasn't about comedy or career this time. It was about love, loyalty, and the woman who stood beside him through every challenge. Jay's story is not just about success. It's about what he learned about love, truth, and devotion after spending more than 4 decades in the public eye. Before he became the famous host of The Tonight Show, Jay Leno was just a hardworking kid from Andover, Massachusetts. Born on April 28, 1950, to hardworking parents, Jay didn't grow up with wealth or luxury. His father, Angelo, was a mechanic, and his mother, Catherine, was a homemaker who believed deeply in discipline and persistence. From a young age, Jay learned that success was something you built with your own hands. He struggled with school, especially reading, because of dyslexia, but that never stopped him from chasing his dream. Even when teachers doubted him, Jay would make them laugh. And soon he realized that making people laugh was his real gift. In college, while studying speech therapy at Emerson College, he began performing stand-up comedy at small clubs. The pay was low, the nights were long, and the crowd wasn't always kind. But Jay never gave up. He slept in his car when he had to, saved every dollar, and slowly built a name for himself in the comedy world. His persistence showed the world that dreams come true only when you refuse to quit. While chasing fame and performing at countless comedy clubs, Jay met someone who would forever change his world: Mavis Nicholson. Mavis wasn't like anyone Jay had ever met. She was intelligent, independent, and had strong opinions about life. They met at a comedy club in the 1970s, and their connection was instant. Mavis wasn't easily impressed by fame or charm. She liked people who were honest and kind. Jay, with his sincerity and sense of humor, won her heart. What made their love story special was its simplicity. They weren't about glamour or red carpets. They shared a deep understanding and friendship that only grew stronger over time. In 1980, they married in a small ceremony. There were no diamonds or fancy receptions. Jay didn't even buy an engagement ring because he preferred to save for their future. Instead, he promised her loyalty, honesty, and a life of laughter. And he kept that promise for over 4 decades. Even when his career became demanding, Jay always made time for Mavis, showing that real love doesn't need big gestures, just small acts of care and devotion every day. Jay's rise to fame was no easy climb. After years of performing in small clubs, he started appearing on television shows like The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson and The Merv Griffin Show. His natural timing and charm made him a favorite guest, and soon NBC took notice. In 1992, Jay Leno officially became the host of The Tonight Show, following the legendary Johnny Carson. Many fans doubted him at first because Carson had set a very high bar, and Jay had big shoes to fill. But Jay's relatable humor, hardworking attitude, and friendly personality won people over. Under his leadership, the show became one of the most watched late-night programs in America. Behind the cameras, though, Jay lived a surprisingly simple life. He avoided Hollywood parties and fame, preferring to spend his free time in his garage, working on classic cars. Mavis often joked that Jay loved engines more than vacations, but she understood that was his way to relax. Their marriage stayed strong because they respected each other's differences. Jay's success didn't change him. If anything, it made him even more grateful for the woman who stood beside him before the fame. Success brought Jay not only fame, but also controversy. One of the most talked about moments in his career was the feud with David Letterman. When Johnny Carson retired, many expected Letterman to take over The Tonight Show. But NBC chose Jay instead, creating one of the biggest rivalries in late-night TV history. The tension between the two comedians became the subject of documentaries and books. Jay tried to stay professional, but the pressure was intense. Then came another difficult period in 2009, when Jay stepped down to make room for Conan O'Brien, only to return a year later after ratings dropped. Many fans criticized the network's handling of the situation, and Jay found himself in the middle of public debate. Through all of it, Mavis was his calm in the storm. She reminded him that fame fades but character remains. Jay later admitted that without Mavis, he might have lost his sense of balance during those years. It was her quiet strength that helped him stay grounded and focused on what truly mattered. Not ratings or fame, but integrity and love. Despite all the fame, Jay Leno never let celebrity life control him. He famously never spent a single dollar from his Tonight Show salary, choosing to live off his income from stand-up shows instead. His frugality became legendary in Hollywood, where most stars lived extravagantly. Jay collected cars, yes, but he never wasted money on wild parties or luxury lifestyles. He and Mavis lived a comfortable but simple life, often away from the spotlight. They didn't have children, a choice they both made early in their marriage. Mavis once said she never wanted kids, and Jay respected that completely. Instead, they devoted their energy to each other and to various charitable causes. Jay often described his wife as the smartest person he knew, saying she had the biggest heart of anyone he'd ever met. They built a life based on understanding and humor. Two people who found comfort in the ordinary, even while surrounded by fame. Their story reminded many that real happiness doesn't come from success or money, but from being truly understood by someone who loves you for who you are. In 2022, tragedy struck when Jay Leno suffered a serious accident in his garage. A fire erupted while he was working on one of his cars, leaving him with third-degree burns on his face, chest, and hands. The news shocked fans around the world. Many feared he might not recover. But Jay showed the same determination he'd carried all his life. He spent several weeks in the hospital undergoing treatment, and though the pain was intense, he never lost his sense of humor. Just a few weeks after being released, he returned to performing stand-up comedy. When people asked why, Jay said, "The best medicine for me is laughter." His resilience inspired millions. Through it all, Mavis stayed by his side, visiting him every day and helping him heal. Her presence reminded him what love truly means. Being there when things are hard, not just when life is easy. The accident became a turning point in Jay's life, reminding him that fame fades, but love and gratitude last forever. Just as Jay recovered from his injuries, life brought another painful challenge. In 2023, Mavis was diagnosed with dementia, a condition that slowly affects memory and communication. Jay was heartbroken, but refused to give up on her. He became her full-time caregiver, taking her to medical appointments, making her laugh, and ensuring she always felt safe and loved. In early 2024, Jay filed for conservatorship to legally protect her and manage her affairs, ensuring she received the best possible care. His actions showed the world a side of him rarely seen, the devoted husband who put everything aside for the woman who had supported him for decades. Fans who once saw Jay as a tough, confident comedian were moved by his tenderness and loyalty. His words during interviews became emotional and reflective. He said, "When you find someone who makes your life better, you do everything you can to make theirs better too." That simple statement summed up a lifetime of love, proving that behind the laughter, Jay Leno's true story was one of commitment and compassion. Today, Jay Leno may not be hosting The Tonight Show, but his legacy continues through his humor, kindness, and resilience. His confession about the love of his life, his wife, Mavis, revealed that even in a world full of fame and temptation, true love can remain pure and strong. He once said he never believed in fairy tales, but Mavis made him believe that love could last forever. The couple's journey, from humble beginnings to Hollywood fame, through accidents and illness, shows that real happiness comes from staying loyal and thankful. Jay's story is a reminder that success means little without someone to share it with. His confession wasn't about regret. It was about gratitude. After a lifetime of laughter, he finally spoke from the heart, showing that the real secret to his happiness wasn't fame, money, or cars. It was Mavis, the woman who quietly stood by him through everything. Jay Leno's life, once defined by comedy, has now become an inspiring story of faith, endurance, and love that never fades. Behind Jay Leno's famous smile lies a man who has always believed in the value of hard work, humility, and kindness. Even after decades in the spotlight, he has remained down-to-earth and polite to everyone he meets, from Hollywood producers to the crew members who worked behind the cameras. Jay's secret has always been that he treats everyone the same, no matter their position. People who have worked with him often say that he never raised his voice or acted superior. Instead, he led by example, showing that success doesn't mean losing your humanity. He never allowed fame to change who he was. Even after hosting one of the biggest shows in the world, Jay would still drive himself to work every day, often arriving before anyone else. His routine stayed the same, simple and disciplined. That quiet consistency became his strength, both in comedy and in life. When asked what kept him going all these years, Jay once said, "If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And perhaps that's the real reason he stayed so cheerful through everything. His work was never just a job. It was his way of connecting with people and spreading joy. Comedy for Jay was more than a profession. It was therapy, a way to make sense of the world. Throughout his life, he faced moments of sadness, exhaustion, and uncertainty. Yet he never allowed those emotions to define him. Instead, he turned them into laughter. Jay often said that humor was like a shield. It didn't erase pain, but it helped people survive it. He used laughter not just to entertain others, but also to heal himself. During interviews, he revealed that when things got tough, he'd go perform stand-up because the energy of the audience reminded him that life could still be joyful. Even after his burn accident, when his face was scarred and painful, he made jokes about it, saying, "At least now I'll get a discount on Halloween costumes." That kind of humor, brave, self-aware, and kind, showed the world what true strength looks like. It's easy to laugh when life is good, but Jay taught people how to laugh even when life hurts. His humor wasn't cruel or dark. It was hopeful. It carried a message that no matter how bad things get, there's always a reason to smile. In a city known for glamour and gossip, Jay Leno stood apart. He wasn't interested in drama, scandals, or fame games. He never got caught up in the Hollywood lifestyle that often destroys celebrities. He didn't drink, smoke, or chase after headlines. What mattered to him was work, honesty, and the people he loved. Jay often said he didn't believe in wasting time on things that didn't make him better. While many stars spent their weekends at parties, Jay spent his nights fixing engines or writing jokes for his next performance. He had a garage full of classic cars, but even that wasn't about showing off wealth. It was about passion and craftsmanship. Jay loved machines because they reminded him of his father, who worked with his hands. Every car he restored was like preserving a piece of history. His car collection became so famous that it turned into its own show, Jay Leno's Garage, where he shared his love for vehicles and engineering. But even in that, his humility stood out. He treated his guests, mechanics, fans, or fellow celebrities with equal respect. To him, everyone had a story worth listening to. While Jay was in front of the camera, Mavis preferred to stay behind the scenes. She never sought fame or attention. In fact, she often said she didn't want to be Mrs. Jay Leno in the public eye. She just wanted to be his partner in life. Their relationship was built on mutual respect and freedom. Jay trusted Mavis's opinions deeply, often seeking her advice before making big decisions. Mavis, who had a background in feminist writing and social issues, helped keep Jay grounded. She reminded him that success was temporary, but kindness lasted forever. The two of them were opposites in many ways. Jay loved talking, Mavis loved quiet. Jay collected cars, Mavis loved books. But that balance is what made their marriage strong. They didn't need to prove their love to the world. They lived it every day through loyalty and care. Even as Mavis's health began to decline, Jay continued to find ways to make her smile. He would tell her jokes from their early days, bring her flowers, and play old music they both loved. For him, every day with her was a gift. A reminder of the life they had built together through laughter, patience, and devotion. Jay Leno's journey is filled with lessons that go beyond comedy. His story teaches that talent can open doors, but humility and persistence keep them open. He proved that you don't need to change who you are to achieve success. In a world where people chase fame, Jay chased excellence. He never wanted to be the richest or the most talked-about comedian. He just wanted to be the best version of himself. He showed that you can be famous and still kind, powerful and still humble. One of his most famous quotes sums it up perfectly. "You can't be bitter. Life's too short to waste on hate." Whether it was handling rivalry with other hosts or dealing with the media's criticism, Jay always chose grace over anger. That attitude not only earned him respect but also peace of mind. He taught millions of people, through both his jokes and his example, that laughter, honesty, and kindness are the real keys to a meaningful life. His success wasn't built overnight, and it wasn't built on shortcuts. It was built on discipline, love, and staying true to himself. Like all great entertainers, Jay eventually stepped away from the bright lights. Leaving The Tonight Show for good in 2014 wasn't easy, but Jay did it with gratitude, not regret. He said he had done what he came to do and wanted to leave while people still remembered him fondly. Since then, he's continued performing stand-up comedy, appearing at small clubs and charity events. Audiences still fill up theaters to see him because his humor is timeless. He doesn't rely on controversy or shock. His jokes are about everyday life, simple, clever, and relatable. As he's grown older, Jay has learned to slow down a little. He spends more time at home, taking care of Mavis, and reflecting on his life's journey. He admits that fame feels different now, quieter, softer. but he's okay with that. You realize, he once said, that the thing